And we're live. I am so excited to come to you today with the Mary Grace Show. I'm Mary Grace, and I am here today with our good friend Dave. We are bringing you the Mary Grace Show, and this is actually Conspiracy of Truth, episode 22, Drop the Hammer edition. And we've got some exciting things to talk about with you. And the usual disclaimer is that we are friends having a conversation. I am not interviewing Dave. He's not interviewing me. We are just talking. And we usually talk about a lot of things having to do with President Trump. We talk about current events, politics, faith, world events, all kinds of stuff. And we don't know where it will take us because this is an unscripted show. And as you're coming in, I want to remind everybody that just in case you didn't get the notification, the best thing to do is go to my website, marygracemedia.com, marygracemedia.com, get on the mailing list, and then you will get an email before we go live. That is how it works. marygracemedia.com, scroll down, get on the email list, and you will also find links to all of our platforms there. I want to remind people that we will most likely shut off the YouTube stream today. Why, you may ask? Well, because there's one of us on this show today that YouTube hates. And just the sound of his voice triggers them bigly. And typically, I'm not saying every time, okay, every time, I get a warning and or a strike when yours truly is on the show. And so we'll get going for a few minutes and then we'll switch over. I think that's it.
Did I tell you that they took down my YouTube channel?
That's right. Okay, so we're probably completely on their radar now. Did they say why they took it down?
I literally post nothing but Supernatural Saturday videos and they took my channel down. I'm like, what in the world? What did I do? They hate me.
They big mad. They are bigly mad at you. Okay, I don't even know if we are streaming on my regular platforms here. Let's see. Yeah, we are. They're just not showing us. So that's okay. Well, we'll just see what happens. Hopefully the numbers will catch up. We are on the usual places that we stream, and I'm going to send out an email out now to let people know that we are live. This is one of my favorite times of the month that we do a show with Dave because we always have fun. We always have a good conversation. Sometimes it gets deep, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's lighthearted. I had a really good meme I was going to try to show you. I just can't get it to upload yet. And if I can, I'll bring it. And by the way, aren't you guys impressed at our matching outfits? We're matchy match today. And yes, brother and sister on screen with pretty much like
totally by accident, by the way.
Totally by accident. Did not coordinate the outfits. Nobody sent anybody a screenshot selfie. We just boom had the same idea. I love it. So here we are. And Dave, it is 28 days. No, 29 days. 29 days and counting. T minus 29 until our guy gets inaugurated. We have some questions about that. Do we think it's going to happen? Let's just start with that. Are we going to get inaugurated? Are we going to do a peaceful transfer of power? Because now, what's her face? The one with the weird eyelids is threatening that that the budget situation might threaten the transfer of power. That's a new one. What's her name? Karine.
The weird eyelids.
The one that wears the weird eyeliner that when she blinks her eyes, she looks like a lizard because she puts like white eyeliner on or green eyeliner. Karine, clearly you're not paying attention to the makeup portion of this show.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so it's what's her name?
Karine. Are you talking about Karine Jean-Pierre?
Yes. Next time you see her, check out the eyebrows. I mean the eyelids.
Okay.
When she goes like this, just look, pay attention. Okay.
So
Mrs. Medic
KJP,
knows what I'm talking about. I can guarantee you that.
KJP is threatening to do what about with the budget?
She says that the unresolved budget issue, that the fact that it's being that Trump and Musk are supposedly blocking the CR, keeping the government open or the government shut down. If the government shuts down on Friday, she was threatening, basically there was a veiled threat that this could have an impact on the transfer of power. Did
And
you see
that's
that?
why I'm scratching my head, because they passed the CR, it passed in the Senate, and Biden signed it. So there is not going
Right.
to be a government shutdown.
I know, but that was one of their little
Oh,
ploys.
okay.
Yeah, it lasted a few minutes. It was
Okay.
just it was just
I was not aware of that.
oh, yeah, you missed it. It was crazy that she even went there. You know what I mean? Like, it was a threat.
Well, it's KJP. So what do you expect?
See? And so from now somebody called her mophead. But seriously, next time you see her, pay attention to her eyelids.
All right, I will.
Okay, so we think we're gonna have a peaceful transfer of power, but what are you noticing right now with Trump? We're 29 days out. I have some observations about what's happening with Trump. What are you noticing? Like between Biden and Trump?
Well, a number of things.
Yeah.
I think wisely, Trump is not doing a lot of public comments. And he'll occasionally post something on Truth Social warning Trudeau that if he wants to continue being the governor of the 51st state, he'd better, mind his P's and Q's, that sort of thing. But Trump has been kind of quiet lately, not doing a lot of, public announcements. He's at AmFest right now here in Phoenix, and probably his first. Well, he had that. He had a presser a few days ago. I think might have been Wednesday or Thursday, where he just answered a lot of questions, cleared the air on a lot of issues that people had brought up. It was actually really good information. But he's been pretty quiet, and I love the fact that he's been hinting that the Biden family voted for him, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Jill goes into the poll wearing Republican bright red pantsuit,
Yeah.
and it does seem like the Biden family are sort of at war with Kamala Harris. Apparently, whenever Joe and Kamala have to go together to someplace public, Joe and Jill don't even look at Kamala, don't acknowledge her. There's no conversation. There's no shaky of the hands, nothing. They're just like, cold
Frenemies.
shark. Yeah, frenemies.
Yeah.
So there's interesting stuff going on.
Yeah.
If you know what to like, what are your observations?
My observations are that it seems like there's one person running things, and his name is not Biden. I feel like, okay, when it comes to the budget, Trump obviously had input there, but he's also wisely staying out of the public eye, and he's using surrogates to carry his message. And I think this is a sign of things to come. I think that he is going to do this more. I think that he's going to rely on this next generation, like the Viveks, the Elon Musk. And for anybody saying that Elon is like the pet billionaire of the MAGA party, they forget that they have George Soros, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg. I mean,
George Soros can literally call any Democrat representative or senator and tell them, be in my office on this day. This is what we're doing, and they will be there. Soros owns those people, and he'll own them for decades. And they have the gall to whine and cry about one billionaire who decided to go to the other side of the aisle. I mean, they have had literally all the billionaires, Mark Cuban, everybody else. Oh, no problem. Let them influence, buy, peddle, blackmail, anybody they want. we have one on our side, and now that it's the end of the world.
Right,
It's
yeah.
ridiculous.
If hypocrisy were an Olympic sport, the Democrats would take home gold every time. I mean, they just they can't, and they don't even see it. It's everything that they do, it's unironically they're unironically complaining about the billionaire, which is so funny. I mean, Hillary Clinton, you're just going, Okay, Hillary, read the room." Like, you literally are in bed with Soros. Ooh, that was a gross image. I can't even.
But true, but
Okay.
true.
But yeah, exactly. And the other thing that I notice about Trump, so I think that we're in a new era. We're going into, like, the golden era of Trump, and I believe that a lot of the people, it's already happening, a lot of the people who discarded him, dismissed him, didn't take him seriously, are now coming over to Team Trump, even in the media. Um,
Yeah,
Time Magazine, Man of the Year. Um, we're seeing Melania get more press time. We're seeing, I guess, they're being treated like they should have been treated, all
right.
along.
Well,
And
it's the second administration, and Trump withstood all of the attacks, the lawfare. The, I mean,
yeah,
the
yeah,
investigations, the criminal
yeah,
conspiracies, all this crap over the last 8 years. And he came out and he came back and he won the election. And you got
yeah,
people like Zuckerberg and Bezos and all the other tech
mhm,
company guys going, holy crap, this guy's really serious.
yeah,
Musk,
yeah,
holy
yeah,
crap. I mean, surviving the assassination attempt was a huge
yeah,
watershed moment for a lot of people who have been kind of
mhm,
watching Trump. And when they saw him get up, fight, 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 they were all like, wow, that guy's not screwing around.
mhm, yeah,
And
yeah,
so a lot of them, a lot of them have are starting to acknowledge, okay, number one, Trump is coming back. He's putting his people in places that matter. Trump is going to control Office of Management and Budget. He's going to control
yeah,
DOJ. He's
yeah,
going to control FBI. He's got a really Brendan Carr at the FCC. Oh my gosh, I love that guy. If you're not following Brendan Carr on X, you should. He's going to be the new FCC chair, and he is out there tweeting and tweeting and tweeting about how the broadcast media, they have licenses. They're obligated to act in the best interest of the public, and if they don't, their licenses can be revoked. And he's making it very, very clear what his expectations are of the broadcast media
mhm,
with respect to acting in the public interest. George Soros just bought 200 radio stations, which all have FCC broadcast licenses. And if Soros thinks he's going to be able to just pump out propaganda
yeah.
on his radio stations, that's not going to happen. So a lot of these guys
Wow.
are realizing
Yeah,
Trump is he's coming back around. He's got his people in place. He has a plan.
mhm,
He's a force to be reckoned with. And a lot of them
mhm.
are bending the knee and they're like, okay,
Yeah.
well, hey, can I come to Mar-a-Lago and hang out with you for a few days? And maybe we can
No.
talk about,
Yeah.
it's just glorious to see that kind of stuff happening.
Well, Bezos needs to clean up his act over at Facebook, because there is
Zuckerberg,
Zuckerberg, because he's in
yeah,
no way even close to providing a free speech platform at this point. I mean,
I agree.
I had an episode that I did of an interview, a very important interview, that, my guest was talking about, the juice, and, that was completely vaporized. Like, they didn't
Yeah, of
even, there's no warning,
course.
nothing. Just poof, it was like it never happened. They completely disappeared it. And that's not acceptable. So the other thing about Trump, I think you're right that, he's having this influence, and people are waking up and noticing. He also, uh, is going on the offensive. He is throwing out lawsuits. He's suing these people. I mean, he won the lawsuit against, George
Stephanopoulos. Yep.
Slopadopoulous, and, he won that one. He is suing CBS for what they
Yep.
did with Kamala for SNL, and I assume I can only assume that's why CBS pretended that Trump was not at the Army Navy game last week. Like, you know, you watch a Chiefs game and all they can't get enough of Taylor Swift, right? They're constantly panning over to the box. The Army Navy game, everybody was so happy and excited, and a lot of people tuned in to see Trump, and there was barely even a Trump sighting. It was only because there were people putting images up on social media that we even knew he was at the game. But, what goes around comes around, CBS. You are getting slapped with a massive lawsuit, and you're also getting slapped with a threat of license removal. And Trump was really mad about that. And he's talked about the fact that this was not an editing job. And if for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, well, there's two things. There was the was it oh sorry, it was SNL. Is that NBC? I'm thinking about the 60 Minutes. Sorry, I got my
Yeah, the
two.
60
I
Minute
got
story with
I got
Kamala,
my
where they took her answers and they
yeah,
juxtaposed them and cut out a whole bunch of
yeah.
information. And that's not just selectively
It
editing
was
your
fraud.
interview.
It
That's
was fraud.
fraud.
That's the one I'm talking about. I was thinking
Yeah.
about the when they put it was SNL put Kamala on and didn't give Trump equal airtime. Both are bad.
Right.
But what
Right. So
CBS what
that's a campaign violation.
yes, and but
Campaign laws, basically.
What CBS did with that interview where they fraudulently represented something that Kamala didn't actually say. That's the one that Trump has already hinted at and said they should get their license removed, and now he's suing them for fraud. So,
And PBS is probably going to lose their funding too.
oh, really? That's so exciting.
Sure, because
um,
that's one of the things that is going on with
yeah,
Doge and with the FCC is people are asking like, why
yeah,
are the taxpayers funding liberal propaganda? That we
hmm
should not be funding liberal propaganda.
yeah,
So the endowments that go to support, national public radio and public
yep,
broadcasting,
yep.
there should not be taxpayer money funding those organizations.
It's
If they're
so
just
good.
going to put out communist propaganda, and I think it's going to change.
What do you think about all of these government entities outside the Beltway, in the Beltway, within the Beltway around DC? So many of these government agencies, so many of these government employees, they're afraid for their jobs. I do know that a lot of them can't be fired, but what Vivek said in an interview is that they can restructure a lot of these entities, and when they do a restructuring they can do a reduction in force, and that's a mass firing. Basically, they'll give
Yep.
them a choice. They can move laterally, they can leave early, they can go out into the heartland, into flyover country, whatever. There's a lot of choices. Do you think that it's unfair to these people to pull the rug out from under them and their government jobs?
No, not at all. And there are a lot of ways that the Trump administration can cut out the deadwood from these organizations.
Yeah.
Like you said, reduction in force is one way. One of the things that they're looking at is literally moving a lot of these federal agencies out of Washington, moving the Department of Interior to, I don't know, Salt Lake City, moving Department of Energy to maybe Dallas, Texas, moving this agency there, moving this agency there. And all of you people, if you want to keep your jobs, you're going to have to transfer. You have to move. Oh, you don't want to move?
Yeah.
That's fine. We'll just have a reduction
Yeah.
in force. We'll just get rid of a bunch of people. And there are some very sneaky and kind of mean ways they can do it. They could literally tell somebody, look, we're not firing you, but we're transferring you to Anchorage, Alaska. So
Yeah.
pack your bags and you're going to Anchorage. If you don't want to go to Anchorage, just, you can resign and go find a job in the private sector.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of ways that they can get rid of these people. It's not unfair. Uh, the future of our country is at stake. We're $36 trillion in debt. And at some point, someone has to come in with a chainsaw and start lopping off large
Yeah.
segments of the government and saying, done, out, you're gone. We're not doing this anymore.
Hmm.
Um, it
Yeah.
needs to happen.
Yeah.
And I am looking forward to seeing it happen.
What percentage do you think are actually indispensable of the cubicle workers?
Probably 15%.
Okay.
That's
S
basically
Yeah.
what Elon did when he came into Twitter/X.
Mhm.
What did he do? He fired about what 75, 80, 85% of the workforce
Mhm. Mhm.
because these people were no shows. They had no show jobs. They just made a paycheck. They stayed at home, went out, got coffee, did their life, and they never
Mhm.
actually did anything. And a
Yeah.
lot of people in government have no show jobs. There's a lot of people in FBI, DOJ, intelligence agencies. They literally do
Yeah.
nothing.
How many
They
thousands at the Hoover Building?
7,000, I think Cash said.
Yeah.
There's thousands and thousands of government workers who literally do nothing. They collect a
Yeah.
six-figure paycheck and they do nothing.
Not to
Just
mention
requiring
the benefits and the pension.
just requiring a lot of these people to come in 5 days a week, clock in, clock out is going to get rid of a whole bunch of people because they're used to staying at home and doing nothing. And if they have to come in and maybe actually, you know, wear a suit and tie, well, a lot of them are just going to they'll leave.
Yeah.
There's many ways that these people can be cut out, and I think personally, my opinion, cut out as many jobs and agencies as you think you can get away with. And if we need to rehire some people down the road, we hire some more people,
Mhm.
not swamp dwellers who have been there for 25 or 30 years.
Right,
And
right.
Elon's being nice about it. He's like, look, we're not going to like hang these people out to dry. They're going to get a really generous severance
Yeah.
package, you know, 2 years severance package, really nice benefits. Just get the hell out of DC. Just leave, take your money and go.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And the thing is, if they really are all of that, then, you know, how hard is it gonna be for them to find a job in the private sector? I mean, if they
right.
bring that much to the table, then the private sector should be chasing them and recruiting them,
I would think so.
right? I mean, if you're that talented and indispensable, then fine, go to the private sector. I think, you know, there are people who say that, then we're gonna end up with all these unemployed people, you know, but I think they're gonna be fine, you know?
I guarantee you, if we do not cut these jobs now, at some point in the future, when we're at 45 trillion or 50 trillion
Mhm,
or 65 trillion in debt, we're going to lose a lot more people. It's only a matter of time
mhm,
before all these
right,
government agencies and people collapse. We can either do a controlled demolition now and start intentionally laying off people and giving them notice. Hey, you know what? You're going to get a severance package. We're going to give you notice. Just we need you out because we have to save this
yeah,
government from collapsing. If we don't, at
yeah,
some point the government is going to collapse. And then
mhm,
it's a catastrophic problem that is much harder to fix.
yeah. What do you think about the clearances? So, Kash Patel has made it clear that he wants Trump to strip the clearances of many of the deep staters, in particular, the 51 former intelligence officers who signed off on the letter, the fraudulent and fake letter that said that the Hunter Biden laptop had all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. He wants those people stripped of their clearances immediately, along with, I would say, 80% of the FBI and probably the State Department as well. What do you think about that? And why
Absolutely.
why do they have clearances to begin with?
They have clearances because they work for the regime. And by having a clearance, they can be read in on sensitive programs, get sensitive information, go on CNN, ABC, MSNBC, and they can put out the talking points because they're in the know. They have the information. And what they end up doing, of course, is telling half the story, putting out knowingly false information,
Yeah.
FISA-gate. And FISA-gate is a really good example of that. Anyone who was involved in the dissemination of information related to Flynn, there's a guy who works in the Pentagon Office of Net Assessment, and his name is Baker, Jim Baker. Now there's two Jim Bakers.
Right.
There's James Baker, who was the general counsel for the FBI. There's another James Baker who works in the Pentagon Office of Net Assessment. That guy is probably the one who leaked the classified transcript of Flynn's phone call to Kislyak to the media illegally. That guy should not just lose his clearance, he should be in prison. And all of those moles and rats in Pentagon, National Security Council, DOJ, FBI, NSA, ODNI, any of them who participated in Spygate, who facilitated the illegal leaking, who weaponized intelligence against Trump, they should all lose their clearances. The reason they have them is it gives them a job. If they have a security clearance, they have access to information the public doesn't have access to. They can trade on that information. They're valuable as an asset or resource to someone in DC. If you yank their security clearances, they have no value to those people. I mean, they can still use them as commentators, but without the security clearance, they're much less valuable. That is how they make their money, and they should all lose their security clearances on day one.
Yeah, and then they can go be a Walmart greeter. That'd be so good. Although I don't think the people at Walmart would want them. So especially after they find out what they did. So this brings me to a question, two questions. The leaker, that brings up Flynn. I want to come back to Flynn in just a minute, General Flynn.
Put a marker in.
Yeah, I did. Right. Everybody remind me. Don't let us forget. We're going to talk about General Flynn. But transition. President Trump is doing something that I don't know when in modern history this has been done. He is financing, he's privately funding and managing his entire transition. And we know from the 2016 election that, the spying was happening in Trump Tower. And it was Admiral Rogers who came and warned Trump. And then Trump's team, and I'm reminding everybody here because some people may not remember this, President Trump's transition team abruptly packed up and moved to Bedminster, to his golf resort out in New Jersey. But this time, Trump is going on offense, and he's not accepting any of the transition money, and he's keeping his transition very close to the vest. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's significant.
It is a very important strategic move on the part of Trump.
It's a power move.
It is a power move, and it's counterintuitive because the average person would wonder, well, why would Trump and his people not want to take intelligence briefings from ODNI and the military and the normal way that a transition goes? A new administration is coming in. They get briefings from Pentagon, briefings from ODNI, DOJ, and the people talk back and forth and get information about what's happening. What happened in 2016 was Obama weaponized the transition. And as an example, they had James Comey give Trump a briefing about it was under the auspices of a counterintelligence briefing about the possibility of foreign interference. And once that briefing was given to Trump, they used it as a way to legitimize cutting Trump and his people out of any discussions about Russiagate. And that was, and Flynn has talked about this a lot. The office, White House, Oval Office, meeting on January 5th, 2017, where Susan Rice, what's her name? Sally
Yeah.
Yates,
Yeah.
and Comey and Obama and Clapper got together and they suggested, look, they went to Obama and said, and Comey said this, there's a reason why we might want to, how did he put it? Omit certain information about Russia and basically not let Trump's people know about it because they are the subjects of a counterintelligence investigation. Our DOJ is investigating Trump's campaign. That gives us a reason not to tell them about our own investigation of them, right? So the whole transition process got weaponized by Obama. And
Yeah.
Trump was very, very smart to tell Biden's people, we're not interested in anything you have to say. We don't want to get briefed. We have our own intelligence sources. You're not going to be talking to us. We'll figure stuff out. When we come in on January 20, we'll have our teams ready to go. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, because that's how these rats play the game. And Trump's like, I'm not playing your game.
Wow, it's so good. It's so good to see the shoe on the other foot now. And it's very interesting. Speaking of which, there was a story that came out about Jeff Bezos, supposedly getting married and having a big expensive wedding, and apparently it's not true. Anyway, so Bezos was refuting it, and he's on X. So he goes on X. He owns a newspaper, but he goes on X to set the record straight. And and I replied and I said, so it doesn't feel good, does it, to have people lying about you? Like, now you know how Trump and all of his supporters have felt for the past 9 years. It's a horrible feeling, isn't it? And
this is just about a marriage.
this is just about, and of course,
a rumor of a marriage, right?
A rumor about a marriage with a woman that he's been, I think is engaged to. So it's not like it's a baseless rumor. But of course, he's all butthurt by it because it's not true. And it's just, and people are just like, are you serious right now? Like, you really, like, you don't even think it's weird that you're upset about this, given what your newspaper has done to Trump and his, I mean, like, okay, you might want to pick another battle here,
No
Bezos.
sense of irony.
No, it's just crazy. That's what I mean. They come out unironically with all of this outrage. And I just think you really, are you dumb? Or are you on drugs? Like, you don't actually remember. Did you fall on your head? You don't remember what the last 9 years have done? Like, you don't know what your newspaper is responsible for doing? I mean, even let's just talk about January 6th. Like, there are people in prison because of false reporting from your newspaper and from perpetuating the falsehoods, not just one story, but from just on and like rubbing salt in the wounds. And yeah.
So bringing up Bezos, there has been at least they're saying that there is coming a shift in the focus of some mainstream news outlets, Bezos being one of them. Bezos wrote an op-ed after the election where he basically said mainstream media journalists are now less trusted than members of Congress. And that is as low as you can go. They don't trust us for a reason. We are not trustworthy. We do not report the truth. Everything is biased. Everything's a political hit. We have to recalibrate. So Bezos fired his entire editorial staff. And he's hiring new people. They did the same thing at the Los Angeles Times. LA Times owner did a similar thing, wrote an op-ed, posted it on X, and
Mm-hmm.
basically said, look, we have to rebrand. We have to change the way we've done things. Our subscriptions have dropped off the cliff.
Yep.
Nobody believes us anymore. No one listens to us
Yep.
anymore. We're a laughing stock. We've turned journalism into a joke.
Yeah.
If we're ever going to be taken seriously, we have to do things better and do things right. So LA
Yeah.
Times is also trying to sort of rebrand itself. Whether that's going to work, I don't know. Whether they're serious, I don't know. It's interesting that they are having a little bit of self-awareness and realizing, okay, we screwed up, so we need to recalibrate here a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
Maybe going forward they'll be better.
is it a crisis of conscience, or is it a financial crisis?
Yeah, that's the
That's
question.
Yeah, and I guess, we'll find out. We'll soon find out. Trust is one of the things that I wanted to talk about today. So I do want to come back to that. We're going to come back to trust. We're going to come back to Flynn, but I wanted to read a comment from X about the reduction in forces. This is somebody who made a really good comment about the numbers that you said, 10 to 50, like 20, 15 to 20% would be essential. Robert on Rumble says, my wife works for the IRS. Per our conversation, her location could do away with 90% of the workforce and do more than what gets done now. Most of the employees don't do anything but talk all day.
Yeah, there you go.
So, oh, and also Joe has a very important comment. I have noticed KJP's frosty eyelids, not as distracting as the BS that comes out of her mouth, though. Okay. See?
I cannot wait for that little troll to be out of the White House press briefing room and have, let's see,
I
what's her
know.
name? The young blonde gal.
Yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and apparently
Totally
we're
forgot her name.
probably going to have some mainstream media types hitting the exits, and they're bringing in some podcasters and some
Yeah.
social media influencers. So we'll have to see how that works out.
Do you
That'll be
think
cool.
Chanel Rion will finally get a chair?
Oh gosh, they should put that woman in the front row for all the crap she's had to put
Poor
up with.
Chanel. Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. So that Korean KJP, she looks like a video game character.
Yeah, she
Like
does.
she's a parody of something. Okay, so the trust. Speaking of this trust, I was thinking about all of the institutions that have, over the past, especially 4 to 5 years, completely eroded the trust of the people. And I may run out of ideas, but so the press, the mainstream press, the medical establishment, the pharmaceutical industry, the political class, um, the education system, uh, what else? The universities. So public and public education, universities. Oh, the church. Did I miss anything? Is there anything? Would you add anything?
I think that's a pretty good start.
Okay, so basically, America, and I would say a lot of the West, doesn't trust any of it. And I think maybe we'll start to swing back to the middle. I mean, because one of the things that I've seen as an outcome of this is that people are so wary and so traumatized by the breach of trust that even when something is obviously true, even when something is backed up and people have the receipts to show that something is true, you get people who are in such a state of shock that they will do all kinds of mental gymnastics to convince themselves that it's not true because they're so
Well,
afraid of getting hurt again, I
it's
guess. I don't know, it's weird.
yeah, that is true. Um, there has been a lot of psychological damage done to
Yeah.
people over the last 8 years. I get emails and see comments on social media all the time From people who have sworn they will literally never ever trust any physician, any doctor,
Yeah.
MD again as long as they live. They
Yeah.
were so traumatized by what happened with COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I don't know that that's a good route to take. I had a little health problem recently,
Yeah.
and I went into an MD, uh, and he looked at me and he diagnosed my situation immediately. And he said, "Hey, I've got something that'll take care of that." He wrote me a prescription. I took it in 2 days. Problem is gone. If it weren't for him and the medication he prescribed, I'd still be dealing with this issue. I have not lost total trust in the medical
Hmm.
profession. I am highly suspicious of uh, of the World Health Organization and
Hmm.
the FDA. We're going to be getting new leadership at FDA.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
with RFK Jr. coming in to take over Health and Human Services, there's going to be a lot of heads rolling. There's going to be a lot of changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of changes. Actually, Trump, his transition team announced last night they're going to try to pull the U.S. out of the World Health Organization on day
Yes.
one.
I saw
All
that.
right. So there's going to be changes. I feel bad for people who have been so severely traumatized by what happened over the last 8 years. I would say don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's still a need for
Hmm.
um, there's still a need for medical professionals
Yeah.
who have integrity, who are honest brokers, who are doing the best that they can and are
Hmm.
presenting good information. There are some snakes out there
Hmm.
who you probably would be better off not being associated with them.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
that's an issue of discernment.
Yeah. I think so. And one thing too, I would say is, Cindy on Facebook mentioned Hollywood and the entertainment industry. That certainly is, gives us pause. But also, a lot of good things came out of the TV and movie industry, over the years. So some really great work, lots of like great music and very talented artists. And one of the things that I've been saying, is, you know, we have to reclaim and clean up these industries, not completely throw it out, because the arts and entertainment is a really important part of our lives. It's an important part of our mental and emotional sanity. Your wife is an artist, and so we don't want to throw those things out
Right.
completely. Just like the social media, right? We could have just completely ditched X, but now it's a free speech platform. I believe that Facebook has that potential, that we can reclaim it. Disclaimer: I'm about to shut down YouTube here, so if you're on YouTube, look in the show notes and you can get the link to the other channel that you can watch on. And we're going to go do that while Dave is talking. I will be
Okay.
here.
Yeah, I was just going to say God is a God of redemption. God wants to redeem
Yeah.
everything that has been devalued, debased, destroyed, polluted. God has a redemptive purpose for just about everything. And He wants to redeem you. He wants to redeem your family, your business. He wants to redeem the arts and music and
Yes.
film and theater and medicine and make it what it have these disciplines live up to their divine purpose and their potential. We don't have to throw them all out. They need to be redeemed and restored.
Yeah, I mean, God is the creator,
Right.
and he doesn't want us to live in a world without creativity.
That would be
Um,
boring.
It would, oh god, absolutely, yeah. And, you look at the Renaissance and you look at these artists who believed truly that they were that God was speaking and working through them.
Right.
And when you see that art, when you experience it, I mean, there's nothing like, Michelangelo's Pietà in the Vatican. I mean, you weep when you're in the presence of that piece of art. And I just can't imagine, even though we know what we know about the Vatican, that piece of art is not a representation of the evil that has corrupted these institutions. That's my take on it.
Mic
So,
drop.
thank you. Okay, General Flynn. So, there I get a question, not a week goes by, not a day goes by that I don't get a question. What do you think General Flynn's gonna do? Why hasn't he been appointed? Why doesn't he have a position in the administration? Is he even, like, is he on the outs with Trump? Is Trump, throwing him to the bus, throwing him under the bus? What's going on? Now, I saw General Flynn just a few days ago. I don't have any indication that he's on the outs with Trump. In fact, quite the opposite. Um, did I talk to him about his next role? No. Is he playing an active role? All signs point to yes. It may not be a publicly announced role, but what do you see happening? Where do you see this going with him?
I have been withholding my speculation on Flynn's role in the Trump administration because of all the people from the first Trump administration who got put through the meat grinder, Flynn got put through the meat grinder the most and the worst. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I really feel badly for him and what happened to him and his family. The deep state did their best to destroy him and his family and his business. And
Yeah.
he is absolutely correct. If Trump had lost the election, both Trump and Flynn would be in jail right now. They
Yeah,
would be
in prison.
arrested. Yep. So
And they wouldn't be at Club Fed. They would not be at Club Fed. Let's be
no, they wouldn't.
clear about that.
They'd be at Rikers probably.
Yeah.
So to all of the Flynn haters out there on social media who have been telling us for the last 2 or 3 years that Trump wants nothing to do with Flynn, that Flynn's a traitor, that Flynn has betrayed Trump.
Yeah.
Did you see Flynn and Trump at Mar-a-Lago like a week ago? Flynn had his event that he sponsored. Trump was there. They were talking. And Trump said, look, no one's been through more than General Flynn has over the last 8 years. He has been horribly treated by the people in the deep state. So it should be obvious now that Flynn and Trump are not at odds with each other, that there's no hostility there. So what do I think Flynn's role is? I don't know, and I'm not really willing to speculate other than to say that Flynn has a unique perspective on the deep state. He knows where the bodies are buried. The deep state, if the deep state fears Kash Patel, there's only one person they fear more than Kash, and that's Flynn.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
There's already some panic going on over the prospects of Kash coming in as FBI director, because Kash has made it pretty clear what his plans are for the FBI. And, would General Flynn come in as a deputy FBI director or some other position in there? I don't know.
NSA?
Potentially. He could be, NSA, Cyber Command, something of that nature.
Yeah, he's an intel guy for sure.
Yep, he's an intel guy. He ran Defense Intelligence Agency, right? So I would, I'm keeping my powder dry. I kind of think that Flynn is going to end up getting a position that doesn't require Senate approval, because I don't know that Flynn would make it through Senate confirmation. He is so hated by people in Congress. I just don't know that they would let him take the chance of not being confirmed and all the stuff, the horrendous crap that goes with it. You saw what happened with Hegseth, what happened with Kavanaugh. Anyone that they can go after, they just go after. Matt Gaetz, he got horribly attacked.
Yeah.
So if it's possible that they would try to put Flynn through a confirmation hearing, but I don't think
Mhm.
so. I
Mhm.
think whatever position General Flynn ends up with, it's probably going to be one that doesn't require Senate confirmation. And
Mhm. Okay.
you know, I really don't know. I don't have
Mhm.
any inside information. I don't have any squirrels that are passing information to me.
Mhm.
So those are my thoughts. Your
Right,
thoughts?
yeah.
Yeah.
He could put I mean, I do feel as though Flynn is kind of a secret weapon. And like I said, I think Flynn's involvement with Trump is probably way deeper than anybody realizes. That's just my impression from being around him and around people who are very close to him. There's no scenario in which General Flynn is not being read into some of the things that are going on. I can tell you that. Um, just yeah. Um, and I think that in some ways, when people ask me this, my thinking is sometimes people can actually be more effective when they're out of the public eye. And when
Yep.
they're when people think that they're not actually in
Right.
in the circle.
I
Um,
think that Trump has intentionally kind of distanced himself from General Flynn during the campaign
mhm,
because Flynn has been radioactive ever since
yeah,
um, you know the investigation that he was put through with the Mueller investigation. He's been
mhm,
radioactive, and I suspect that they have intentionally created some separation
yeah,
so that there wouldn't be this continual media drama
mhm,
about what is Trump going to do with Flynn? Is he going to be the next, whatever position?
right,
And all
right,
this heavy breathing and crap. I just don't think that the campaign needed that nonsense.
mhm,
So I suspect
yeah,
that the
yeah,
distance between them was intentional just to keep the rumors mill
yep,
down and not focused on
yep.
something other than that.
Yeah, yeah, and I see comments all the time, "Why hasn't Flynn been campaigning with Trump? What's wrong?" All the whispering. And I think that your explanation is solid, that there's enough drama. I mean, Trump is the most well-known, most popular person in the world in modern history. And, he brings enough uh, enough speculation and drama wherever he goes, and he did not need to muddy the waters, by having Flynn in his close orbit. But again, that does not mean that there isn't a private relationship that is off the books. And this is my speculation. This is not something that anybody has told me, but you know, I, my spidey senses are pretty reliable with stuff like this, and this is not just me looking from way outside. This is me being like, standing next to people who are working directly with General Flynn. So that's my take on it. So we'll see. But I do think I know that General Flynn is heavily invested in making sure that what is going on in North Carolina right now gets rectified, and that it gets rectified like starting on day one. He's heavily invested in that situation, and he's not going to back off on that. And I also know, of course, that he is heavily invested in putting a stop to what's going on in the border, particularly with the trafficking of children. Those are two areas that he's been very publicly uh, he's been very public about, and he's not going to back down on that. So so that's where I see with him. And if you have anything to add to that, I think you know but
Nothing
he's
to
not, yeah, he's
add.
not on the outs. President Trump doesn't he has not dismissed Flynn from his orbit. The fact that Flynn had his event at Mar-a-Lago, his fundraiser for America's Future, his foundation, um, it wasn't just another one of those um things where somebody comes in and rents the venue for their wedding or whatever. Trump was invited. Trump has come to that event before. Trump always shows up at General Flynn's event when he does this. So there's a connection there. And so hopefully that will put to rest some speculation that people have. And if you're listening to these people, these Flynn haters, I would urge you to move away. Put the hand up, tell them, talk to the hand. Don't go down those rabbit trails, because it's a waste of time. It is a complete waste of time and resources. And you're part of a psyop if you are buying into that. That's all I got to say about that. So hey, wait, let's take a meme break and then we'll take a commercial break. How about that? You have to see this. So, one of the best things about Trump is that he just never stops memeing and ridiculing his political opponents. And so it was Justin Trudeau kind of sort of threatened Trump, and said, you can't do tariffs because that's going to hurt our economy. And then Trump came back and said, well, how about we just annex Canada because we're financing Canada anyway, and let's make Canada the 51st state. And then he doubled down. So I found this meme the other day and I think it's perfect. So I wouldn't be surprised if Trump posts this on social media.
Very
All right,
good.
so guys, get your ugly Christmas sweaters out and see if you can compete with this. I absolutely love it. So I shared that on my Facebook. And I just think it's great. Okay, listen, before we go on to the next topic, we do want to take a little break here. I want to remind everybody that this show is listener funded. That means that when you buy from our affiliate partners here at the Mary Grace Show, you help support us. We get a small commission from them. And if you go to the website, marygracemedia.com, you can find all of our affiliate partners. And I want to emphasize, especially as we're coming into the new year, please take time to get your own health in order, to get your house in order with your health. And you can go to our friends over at Official Synapse. We're going to play a commercial here for just a second. But also, please check out my wellness store. We have a whole array of supplements. And if you're buying supplements from a big box store, if you're doing the D, B complex, whatever it is, the brands that we have in our wellness store have been curated and vetted for purity. And that's really important because you don't want something that has heavy metals and all kinds of toxins and fillers and things like that. And if there's a brand that you love and that you've been buying and you don't see it there, contact me at my email, info@marygracemedia.com, and we'll get you, we'll try to get it into the store. There's thousands of products and they're not all in the store, but I can probably add them if you need it. And then of course, look at our superfoods. We've got all kinds of things to offer, but we're going to play a couple of our ads right now. Don't go away. You've got about 5 minutes to leave the volume up, take care of your personal needs, take care of your beverage, whatever it is, and then come back. We will be right back with you. And hopefully you can take a minute to support some of these America First companies. And we will be right back. We are not leaving.
Hello, I'm Jordan, and this is my brother.
And I'm Nace, and we're the Grid Down Chowdown. And this is Larry, who is a local rancher that we've partnered with.
Now, Larry, you've been ranching for over 4 generations, is that correct?
That's correct. I'm 3rd generation, my son's 4th generation, and I've got some grandkids that are 5th generation.
Man, that's awesome.
We've been here for quite a while, yeah.
All right, now, Larry, your cattle is grass-fed, grass-finished, and pasture-raised, just like God intended them to be.
Yes, because I want to know what's in that animal.
Right.
What it's been fed. And so the only way to do that is for us to keep it all natural, just like God has done it for years and years and years, thousands of years.
How has partnering up with us helped you and your ranch?
Well, it's allowed us to develop a market that we didn't have before, one that can get directly to the consumer, and that's great.
And just remember, more importantly, with every package that you buy, we put a salvation track in there. So from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you for allowing us to do what we believe that God has us here to do. And just remember, God loves you.
He really does.
Amen.
Go to griddownchowdown.com. Americans spend more now than ever on healthcare, and we're sicker than almost anybody in the world. We put our trust in a system that's completely let us down. Dr. Troy Sproul and the team at Synapse Center for Health and Healing have changed all that. They are a functional medicine clinic, and they get to the root cause of what's made you sick in the first place. Once they do that, they give you solutions to help you get out of that. This is the way that medicine was meant to be practiced, and this is what they're doing. They're changing the entire system from the inside out, one person at a time, and you could be one of those people. And so when you're working with the team at Synapse, they're giving you solutions and not just prescriptions. That's a game changer for me. When you set up a free discovery call with Synapse, you're starting on a journey of healing. You're starting on a journey of getting answers. And that's why I've partnered with them, because I want you to be healthy. I want your family to be healthy. I want you to have all of the resources that you need to steward the body and the health that God's given you. Go to officialsynapse.com and tell them Mary Grace sent you. That's Official Synapse, SYNAPSE.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98, or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more.
Oh, we're back. Okay. There we go. My producer was not doing her job. Um, that's me. So listen, I know you guys like the QR codes, so let me flash those up here real quick. This is griddownchowdown.com, and this is the freeze-dried beef. This is so awesome. Every time you buy this, you're helping to save American farm and ranch land. This is a whole pound of ground beef. You put water in it, you can make anything that you would make with regular ground beef. It's not jerky. This is freeze-dried, and it's perfect for an apocalyptic scenario where you have to have food on hand and you're not sure when you're actually going to get to eat it. So that's good. But you can also use it just for regular food. Um, My Pillow right here, mypillow.com, promo code Mary Grace. We had a great month. Those of you who did your Christmas shopping there, thank you so much. It's not too late. And you can also stock up for the new year. Here's our code for Synapse Center for Health and Healing. These guys are doing an amazing job. If you're not sure what they do, check out the recent episode that I did with Dr. Troy. It's on my Rumble, my Facebook. It's Ask the Doctor, and he does a live Q&A with me. So we're back here with our friend Dave, and we are talking about all of the recent things that are happening with the transition, with President Trump's transition. And the title of this episode is the Drop the Hammer edition of Conspiracy of Truth. And part of the reason that I titled it that is that I think that, there's a meme of a picture of President Trump and Melania at the doing the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange, and he has the hammer in his hand. But I think that's symbolic, as always. And Elon Musk tweeted out that the hammer of justice is coming. And so I think that we can read some things into that. And obviously, they're scared of a potential Kash Patel at the FBI, Pam Bondi at the DOJ, and what they're really scared of is that we are going to apply the rule of law, which means that it's not going to be political persecutions. We're going to be looking at the law and the Constitution and making decisions about charges and indictments based on that. And I wanted to get your take on that, Dave. What you think the Hammer of Justice may be doing and gearing up for as we come into this, because there's a lot of people who have lost all trust in the system, and they don't think that anybody's going to pay consequences. Where do you stand on that?
Can I do a shameless plug before I answer that
Oh,
question?
absolutely. Yes.
For those of you who have been waiting for my wife to launch her art website, you have no longer to wait. Denise has launched her art website. It is Denise Hayes Studio. Denise Hayes dot studio. Sorry, Denise Hayes dot studio. And if you go /prints, that takes you to the page where her you can buy prints. She has original paintings. You can buy coffee mugs. You can buy bags, and she has all kinds of goodies for the holidays and other occasions. So just a quick plug for my wife's website. Anybody who wants to go there, just check out her stuff. And I would greatly appreciate you supporting her endeavor to get her art career finally.
Here we go. I'm putting it in the chat.
All right, cool.
Yeah, awesome. Yes. And Dave, I was going to say something about this.
Right.
What do you think about making your new background one of your wife's lovely prints? Can you get a print from her and ask her if she'll put that up behind you?
I could probably do that. I'll have to talk to her about it. She's the one who actually painted the concrete wall behind me in the nuclear bunker. So she's my art designer. We'll have to see what she says.
Okay, that would be awesome. I think that would be good, because you used to have your setup. You used to have one of her paintings behind you.
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
All right, I'm putting it up in Rumble as well. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
To answer
you're
your
welcome.
question.
Yep.
To answer your question, how ironic is it that the very people who have, for the last 8 years, taken the justice system and perverted it to insane levels to go after Trump? Let me give you an example. In Arizona and in a number of other states, the Republican Party of Arizona and the Republican Party of Wisconsin and Georgia decided to follow their state constitution and elect an alternate slate of electors in the 2020 election in the event that a election challenge was heard by a court and the election result was overturned in that state. If you don't have your electors named, they can't vote. They can't cast a vote in the Electoral College. So many states have a constitution that states that they're supposed to name electors for both parties, even the party that did not win the election. Well, our Attorney General here in Arizona has criminally prosecuted the alternate electors in this insane game where they're just trying to punish anyone who questions the official story on the elections. And they've been prosecuted in Michigan and other states. That's
what they did to Trump in Georgia.
That's what they did to Trump in Georgia.
Yeah.
The way that Alvin Bragg constructed the prosecution of Trump in New York over the payments to Stormy Daniels is insane. We're talking about at most a very low-level misdemeanor, and they then said it was a conspiracy to overthrow the election, and conspiracy is automatically a felony. So they take a misdemeanor charge and they raise it to a felony. There were 37 payments, so now it's 37 felonies. The way that these people have perverted the criminal justice system is obscene. And now those very same people are screaming over the possibility that their own legitimate actual crimes might be prosecuted. You can't make this stuff up.
Well, they tried to put a clause in the continuing resolution in the budget
that would exempt them from prosecution.
I'm like, these people are sneaky. And, President Trump, I think this whole thing with the budget really exposed them because they did what they've always done, which is that they try to drop a bill on a Friday right before a holiday and give the members no time to read it, give the public no time to read it, force a vote. And they know they're going to get a vote because everybody wants to leave on holiday. They've got their ski trips planned and whatnot. They want to go to Aspen on your dollars, by the way. And so Trump completely threw a wrench in it. It was Elon tweeted, and it got the public looking at it. And then Vivek did a video and said, "Here's what's in the bill." I mean, so they're scrambling. And this is how we got a new bill that gives aid to the
the really bad thing is Schumer and McConnell and Johnson, they've been working on this bill for months.
Yeah.
According to the testimony from members of Congress, they have been working on this for months and held it to the last minute, before the holiday. And then they sprung it on members of Congress and didn't give them time to read it.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that unless you were just using political pressure to force people to vote for something they don't have time to read, they don't want to vote for? And fortunately, we have people like Musk and Elon and a few other social media influencers who jumped on this thing. Republicans pounced, exposed it for the crock of crap that it is. Trump gets on board. He's like, hey, you know what? Let's put up a skinny CR, get rid of all this crap. I just love the way Elon, Vivek, and the team are working to expose this junk. And Mike Johnson had better get his act together.
I was going to ask you, what do you think about Mike Johnson?
Come January, that dude had better never again propose a CR or an omnibus bill, or Trump is going to take a 2x4 and whack him in the head with it. Trump already said in 2019, you put another omnibus bill on my desk and I will destroy you people. I'm not going to sign it. You're going to come up with 12 separate appropriations bills, and we're going to have a line item budget, and I'm going to have a veto power. And I'm also going to reinstore the impoundment authority of the president.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, Trump is going after this, and Mike Johnson had better get his game on. This is his last chance. Mm-hmm. If he does not figure this out and start playing ball in January, he is going to find himself on the outs with Trump, and then there will be a new speaker.
Okay, let's talk about a couple of things. The CR, the omnibus bill, and the impounding, because I want to make sure people are on the page with this. People are busy and they don't have time to research this. And these are some really important things to know going forward, especially because it's going to be on you, the listener, to be in touch with your representatives and let them know that you understand how these things work, so that you can put pressure on them not to bring these types of things to the floor, because that's not what the people want. But before we do that, I forgot. I wanted to give a shout out to all of my Facebook people. My Facebook listeners have gotten us to 65,000 followers on Facebook. Wow. And I know. I wanted to celebrate that. And So give yourselves a pat on the back, all my Facebook people. Now, that being said, please make sure you get over to my free speech platforms, because you don't know if you're going to find me there one day when you wake up and log into the Facebook. You just don't know. So please go to my website and click on X, click on Rumble, get over there and follow me just in case. All right, let's talk about these definitions about what is going on with the budget. This is going to be super important because
Yep.
it's really important to Trump, and I want to weave the tax piece in as well, because with the debt ceiling. Okay? That's a
Right.
lot. You got go.
I'm up to the challenge.
Okay, I
All right.
know. Go.
Back in the 1970s and the 1980s, we had more or less had a balanced budget, federal budget every year. Occasionally we would run a little bit of a deficit, but it wasn't a big thing. And Congress would every year propose, well, the president is actually supposed to propose a budget, which is a budget. It's like, look, I'm the executive of the Department of Energy, the Department of Transportation, Department of Defense, all these departments. And the president is supposed to propose spending proposals to the House, which is a proposal of a budget. The House is supposed to take that proposal and then create 12 separate spending bills that the House then votes on, and each member of the House can offer amendments to each of the 12 spending bills. That is how the House and the president are supposed to work together. And when Johnson was brought in as Speaker, he promised there's not going to be another omnibus spending bill. We're going to have 12 separate appropriation bills. They're going to go through appropriations. We're going to allow people to add amendments. That's how we're going to do it. And he broke his promise. He immediately went to an omnibus bill, gave it to Biden, and they signed it. So an omnibus bill is a spending bill that lumps everything together. There really isn't a whole lot of room for members of the House to add amendments to it. It's just one big bill, and you take it all or you leave it all, and there's not a whole lot of debate over it.
And it's filled with pork and poison pills.
It's filled with poison pills and pork, and what my representative is Andy Biggs. What someone will do if they're an opponent of Andy Biggs is they'll put something in the omnibus bill that Andy Biggs does not stand for, and they know he will not support that issue. They'll put it in the bill so that they can then criticize Andy Biggs for voting in favor of that bill because it had this provision in there that Andy Biggs has said he would never vote in favor of. They put all these poison pills in there that they can then weaponize during their campaigns against their opponents. They basically put things in there and they force the person to vote in favor of this thing, and then the guy or woman has to explain why they voted in favor of it. Like, look, it's an omnibus spending bill. If we don't pass this damn bill, we shut down the government.
Okay.
So the omnibus spending bill is an alternative to 12 individual spending bills for each department in the federal government. Now, what Trump said, in 2019, Trump shut down the government for 33 days. It's the longest government shutdown there ever was. And he shut it down over this very issue. He told the speaker, I'm not going to sign this omnibus bill. Get it out of my office. Go come up with individual spending bills that are approved on the floor of the House, and I will sign each individual spending bill. And they didn't do it. They shut down the government for 33 days. And Trump reluctantly finally signed the omnibus in 2019. And he told the speaker, you ever bring me another omnibus and I will lose my shit. It's not going to happen. I'll never sign another one. Don't even dare me to do it. So whoever is going to be the speaker coming in 2025, they had better not put an omnibus spending bill in front of Trump, because he will decapitate them. Not literally, metaphorically, he will take their head off. He'll go on
Yeah.
social media and just put them on blast and demand that they be replaced. And there will be a call to vacate the chair. And Johnson will be out, and they'll have to bring somebody else in as a speaker. So what Trump wants to do is he wants to get this process back on track, where there are individual appropriation bills that are voted on, where members of Congress can add amendments if they're accepted by the one who's proposing the bill and all this other stuff. And that's how government is supposed to work. And we're also supposed to have a balanced budget, where you look at how much income is coming in, and you say, well, we've got $4 trillion in income this year. Let's cap spending at $4 trillion so we have a balanced budget. Well, we're not doing that. We're spending about $2 trillion more than we bring in every year in taxes.
Do you think the change in the tax structure that Trump wants, along with introducing tariffs, will help us get to a balanced budget more quickly?
Yeah, I think so. I think DOGE has the ability to identify areas in government that can be cut. It's going to be up to the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, to then make those cuts and restrictions in the actual budget. And thank God we've got Russ Vought and his team of people in OMB, and they've got chainsaws and they're coming after the spending. And the other thing is the presidential impoundment power. So this is something that Trump has talked about over the last 4 years. Basically, there is a constitutional provision that allows the president to restrict spending in the executive branch, regardless of how much money Congress has appropriated for spending. So people say, oh, the House has the power of the purse. It's up to the House to decide how much money gets spent. Well, yes and no. The House is their constitutional responsibility is to propose spending resolutions and then approve the spending resolutions and pass them on to the president for signing. But the executive, the president, he is the chief executive of the executive branch. All of the branches of the government that actually spend money, HUD, HHS, Pentagon, Department of Energy, Department of Transportation, the president is over all of those agencies, and it is his responsibility to decide how much money is actually going to be spent by each of those agencies. Now, historically, the president has had what's called the presidential impoundment power or authority, which allows the president to tell Pentagon, well, Congress appropriated $1 trillion for spending for you for your department this year, but I'm only going to authorize $500 billion. I'm cutting your spending in half. He can go to any federal agency and say, Congress has appropriated this much money. I'm only going to allow you to spend this much, right? That's the presidential impoundment authority. Up until 1972, that's how every president had the ability to cut out of the actual spending anything that the House appropriated. Presidential impoundment authority. When Congress decided they wanted to impeach Nixon, they made a deal with Nixon that they passed an act that stripped the president of the impoundment authority in exchange for not putting Nixon through a Senate trial. Impeachment. So Nixon gave away that authority of the president and gave it back to the House. Trump has said he will fight to get that empowerment restored, so that the president can actually be the one who determines how much money is spent by federal agencies.
Is actually spent.
House can appropriate whatever they want. This is the limit. House says, we're only going to let you spend this much. President can come in and say, well, we're going to shrink it down. You're going to spend that much.
Okay.
Now, you're going to see news headlines. If you haven't already seen them, you're going to see them where the fake news is going to say, oh, President Trump is going to be an authoritarian dictator, and he's going to try to usurp the power of the House and try to tell them what they can't spend. Trump was actually impeached for this very thing. When Congress approved aid to Ukraine, Trump said, play ball or you're not getting that money that Congress just approved. And they impeached him because they said he didn't have the authority to withhold that money from Ukraine. And that's one of the things he was impeached over. Yeah. So this is a live wire, and it's a hugely important issue, and you're going to be reading and hearing a lot more about it in the next year. Just realize this is a historical authority the president has had until the Nixon, when he gave it up. And Trump said he'll go to the Supreme Court and fight to get it back.
Okay.
So that's going to be a key area where Trump can cut spending. Now, with tariffs, the question of tariffs, I'm not an economist. Will his plan to raise tariffs and get rid of, income tax and tax on this and tax on that, replace it all with tariffs? How is that going to work out? I have no idea. I'm not an economist. I'm not a financial guy. I really don't know. I assume that Trump has done the math, done the numbers, has smart people who said this will work. It'll work. So I'm cautiously optimistic about it.
Okay. What about the debt ceiling? That was the other piece that is coming into the conversation. And I think you can probably explain that to us.
Yeah. So the debt ceiling is actually a really simple concept.
Okay.
The Congress is obligated by the Constitution to only spend X amount of money as debt. And if they plan to go over that amount of money, they have to vote to raise the debt ceiling. And we're going to be bumping up against the debt ceiling in 2025. The debt ceiling is something that Congress raises every 5 or 6 years or so.
Okay.
They just continually increase federal spending, add $1 trillion here, add another $1 trillion there, add another $2 trillion here. Pretty soon you're up against the debt ceiling, and you can't actually continue spending beyond what we're bringing in unless you raise the debt ceiling.
Okay.
So Trump is trying to get Congress to raise the debt ceiling now rather than raise it during 2025 when he's president, because what we've heard is that is Chuck Schumer's leverage piece, and Trump wants to take that leverage away from Schumer and do the debt ceiling raise now rather than waiting until next year.
Got it. Okay. And so Mike Johnson, I want to go back to him for just a second because, Trump has been kind of dragging him along like to men's night.
Yep.
And
that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, he has. And it's obvious that Johnson is kind of out of place. So what is Trump doing there?
He's trying to recruit Johnson. He is trying to recruit Johnson over to his team. He takes him to UFC. He lets him fly on the plane with Vivek and Elon, and he's getting all the social media pictures. And, oh, hey, here's RFK, and let's take the picture of the McDonald's food and everything. I think, my personal opinion, I could be wrong, I think that Trump is treating Mike Johnson to the MAGA celebrity world. And he's trying to tell Mike, if you want to be sitting at the cool kids table and you want to hang out with us and you want to help us make America great again, we will make you a part of the team. You have to play ball. If you're going to play ball with the swamp and do things their way, you're not going to sit at our table and we will get rid of you. And I think Trump is trying to get Johnson over to his team. But Trump's public position on Johnson has changed this last week because of the continuing resolution. Resolution, by the way. So when there is a gap where the omnibus spending bill has run out, and now the government doesn't have enough money to keep running. Normally, what they do is they pass what's called a continuing resolution. It's basically a resolution. They put it on the House to the floor and they vote on it, and it continues spending levels the way they are, and they'll pass a continuing resolution for 3 weeks or a month or 2 months, whatever the gap is that they need to get to another point in time where they can pass another continuing resolution.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate, but our government has been run on continuing resolutions for years, and that system needs to end.
Yeah.
Because it's just irresponsible. It's not a good way to run things. And
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been a big deal if they would have passed a clean continuing resolution that merely left all spending levels the way they are right now. But they had to go and throw in a bunch of little pork barrel things, like trying to make members of the J6 committee immune from prosecution, putting in all this other spending, all these other provisions, funding the censorship regime and all this other crap. That pissed off a lot of people, rightly so.
Yeah.
They should have just passed a clean continuing resolution, and it wouldn't have raised a lot of red flags.
Yeah.
But the hogs are going to do what hogs do, and they wanted to wallow in the mud one more time before Trump came back into office.
And they counted on getting away with what they've always gotten away with, and not
Correct.
having anybody actually read it
Right.
and report on it.
Except people did read it, and they did report on it. And we happen to have on our side the owner of the largest news social media site out there.
Yeah.
And he put those people on blast, and I'm glad he did.
Yeah. I mean, that was highly consequential. And that's one reason that I was off of X for quite some time. But now that I'm seeing what he's doing, and the impact that it's having, and I think a certain level of sincerity, I'm investing more time and energy there, and that's why I'm encouraging everybody who's listening to do that. Even if you're not actively posting, it's not so much about that, unless you want to grow a channel. It's about going over there and following these sources that you can trust, and keeping yourself informed, because this is where news breaks, and it's where you're seeing real information. And the Grok feature is actually quite useful. Have you been using it? Have you been using Grok?
A little bit. I've been messing around with Chat GPT too, and a couple of other AI engines at the request of my wife.
Well, the Grok.
And I'm finding some very interesting uses for this technology. I was initially against it. Evil, get away, you don't want to play with it. It's the devil. I'm changing my tune on that, and I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, and I don't want to talk too much about future plans, but I think there are some very good use cases for AI, and Grok does have some really cool features.
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting. I mean, I've been using it sort of in place of Google some, and I've had some interesting results. Now, one of the things that Grok does is comes up with, I think, 10 or 15 relevant websites to your query. And when you click on those, of course, it takes you out to a search engine. But it's interesting. So, for example, if somebody's on that platform and they want to know about the continuing resolution, you can go to Grok and query, and you can say, what is in this continuing resolution, that the first rendition of the CR. and Grok will give you a summary. And one of the things that's valuable about that is that it's not Google, and so I think that you're going to get less likelihood of censorship or bias, right? So that's an interesting element of
Yeah,
it.
my experience with AI is it has been interesting. Uh, I've messed around with it in
Hmm.
various disciplines, and um, I think it has potential to be a very useful tool for things like research. So
Yeah.
let's say Q comes back and Q starts dropping posts and
Hmm.
asking questions. What about this? Look into this and that and the other thing. You could go on Grok and start putting in terms that Q is dropping in posts and come up with
Hmm.
some pretty good leads for your own research, where you can read some articles, read some abstracts, check out some declassified documents or whatever. I think there's a lot of potentially positive uses for things like Grok
Hmm.
and ChatGPT and all the other engines out there. You do, however, have to be a little bit careful and don't buy everything that the AI tells you.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
I'm I've been using it to do some research on a book that I'm writing about Meshtastic. So, for those of you who
Okay.
don't know, I'll be launching a book on Meshtastic in the next few weeks. And I was doing some research. I was using ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was actually giving me bad information about Meshtastic, about the different settings and some of the features. And I was like, I don't
Okay.
think that's right. And I went to the Meshtastic website and I double checked, and it was giving me bad information.
Okay. Good to
So
know. Yeah.
double check whatever information you're getting from an AI website, double check it and make sure that it's correct, because it may be giving you fake news.
Interesting. Okay, good
Yeah,
good to know. So that was a little rabbit trail, but I think
sure.
relevant because it's becoming more and more ubiquitous in our lives.
It
Um
is becoming ubiquitous. And if you think you're going to be able to completely cut AI out of your life and say, I'm not going to ever use it, it's going to be very, very difficult.
yeah.
If you just go on Google right now and put in, a search term. Now, I realize there's a lot of people who just absolutely will not ever use Google, and that's fine. You're welcome to do that. I'm just telling you right now. Here's a simple fact of life.
Yeah.
Today, if you go on Google, the search engine, and you put in a search term, last year it would give you a whole bunch of links to articles, websites, abstracts, whatever,
Mhm.
podcast videos.
Yep.
Now you put that search term in, it has an AI search engine that's going to generate
Yep.
a
S-
description, a
Like a summary.
definition, a
Mhm.
summary, and that's just what AI does now
Yep. Yep.
on your search engine. You're gonna get an AI generated summary.
Yep.
Now you can say, well, I'm gonna go to, just gonna use DuckDuckGo. I'm just gonna use Brave. I'm just gonna use whatever. Okay, that's fine. I'm telling you, what's going to come in the future is they're all going to be using AI search engines that are going to aggregate information, give you an AI generated summary. You
Yeah.
can then skip down and go to the articles and links and everything
Yeah.
else and do your own research, but it's getting more difficult to
Mhm.
avoid
Yeah.
AI generated information.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Um Dave, I want to shift gears here for just a second.
Okay,
Is there anything we didn't cover that you
trust.
think? Well, we kind of
Did we
talked
cover
about trust.
trust?
Yeah, we talked about trust. So, we here's what I wanted to do because it's Christmas and it's both a time of blessing and family and wonderful things, and it's because of that it's also a time of stress. And so, you have a really tremendous, uh, uh, amount of resources, and, a very active Telegram community, and it's a place where people can go to get support and to tap into community at a time that may not actually be all that special and wonderful for people. Or even if it is special and wonderful, it still adds stress to your life.
Yeah.
And so it's, because you have different routines. And so I wanted you to take a few minutes to talk about that, talk about some of your books that people can tap into as resources, some of your teaching. For people who don't know, Dave, the reason that he's called Praying Medic is because Dave has written a number of books. He actually was a medic who prayed for people. And even though we've spent the last almost 2 hours talking about politics and world events, um, Dave's has been established for quite some time as a faith leader and as a writer and teacher, um, who has really encouraged people in their faith and in healing. And I didn't want to leave today's show without giving people a glimpse of that and an opportunity to tap into it, because everything what we're talking about is very stressful, and then you add on top of that the stress of wondering what's going to happen in the next 29 days, and then Christmas. So so many feelings come up for people, um and so yeah, just give us a little picture of what people can find and tap into and how they can take advantage of what you have.
All right. As you mentioned, holidays can be stressful. Whether you are one of those people who has a lot of friends and family around during the holidays, or whether you are not one of the people who has a lot of friends and family around during holidays, I'm in the second category. My family doesn't live near me, so I don't really entertain family over the holidays generally. It's much less stressful for me, but I'm not you. And if you are, if you chronically during the holidays deal with stress, anxiety, fear, feelings of abandonment, because maybe you're not, everyone else is having family and friends over, and you're having nobody. Nobody cares about you. Your family has abandoned you. Your kids don't want to talk to you anymore. If you're in that situation, like Mary said, my Telegram channel is a place where you can go and you can just talk out the issues that are going on with you. Post your concerns. There's very compassionate, sometimes funny, sometimes insightful people there. You can ask them for prayer. They will pray for you for physical healing. If you need emotional healing, healing of emotional trauma, we're dialed in on that. If the holidays are a traumatic time for you, stressful, too much drama, too many worries, concerns, if you're worried about World War III, if you're concerned that whatever the next catastrophe is going to be, go to the Telegram channel. It's praying_medic. That's the name of the chat channel. That's actually my main channel. There's another chat channel too. You can go in there, post a prayer request, talk to people. They'll talk you off the ledge. They'll hopefully put a smile on your face and maybe get you healed. So resources.
I'm trying to show it, and Telegram is being weird.
That's right.
So anyway,
I might be able to show it.
I can't get it to load. I can't tap on your channel. But do you have a link to that on your X account? Does it go to your Telegram? Okay.
I don't know if my camera will focus on that, but
put your QR code up there. Can you give us your QR code?
Gosh.
Come on, Dave.
There it is.
Yeah, Telegram keeps freezing up for me. There you go.
There's the QR code.
There you go. Now you're in focus. Perfect. Okay.
If you scan that QR code,
that'll be the correct link.
It's praying_medic. That is the channel. We have admins there 24/7. They're there all the time. You can go in there, drop a prayer request, need someone to talk to. I'll talk to you. Even if nobody else in the world will talk to you, we will talk to you. Resources. I have a book called Emotional Healing Made Simple, and it is exactly what it says. That's the book right there. It explains in layman's terms how emotional trauma happens and how it can be healed. It's a relatively straightforward process. As long as you're not one of those people who has suffered satanic ritual abuse or something of that nature. And there is healing for those people. It's just a little bit more involved process. If you have kind of garden variety, off the shelf, emotional trauma from mean relatives and friends, that book can help you receive emotional healing. What?
I'm sorry. Off the shelf emotional trauma from mean relatives and friends. Sorry. It's so
Well,
true.
it's
So
true though, right? So
yes, yeah.
emotional
I
healing.
have the link to your Power and Authority book too, but
All
that's
right.
just funny.
Now, if you are dealing with some kind of physical ailment, whether it is an autoimmune condition or cancer or brain tumor, leukemia, whatever the issue is, postural orthostatic hypotension, atrial fibrillation, hypothyroid, whatever your condition is, if you're dealing with a physical condition and you'd like to get some instruction about how to get healed of that junk, Power and Authority Made Simple is a good book that explains in layman's terms. There's tons and tons of Bible verses in there, so don't worry, this is not some heretical nonsense. I teach right out of the scriptures, primarily the New Testament, looking at how Jesus and the disciples operated in power and authority. And just lay it all out, explain what is power, what is authority, how does it work. And if you happen to have a broken washing machine and you'd like to pray over that thing and get it fixed, or if you happen to have a broken car, you want to pray over your car and get it fixed, or if you happen to not like severe winter storms and you want to pray over those things and see if you can make them go away, there's instructions in there on how to exercise kingdom authority for miracles that are not related to physical healing. Jesus taught his disciples to calm the storms and work other miracles. And so there's all kinds of information in that book. If you're interested, all of my books, my podcasts, my articles, videos can be found on one of my two websites, prayingmedic.com or prayingmedic.org. Prayingmedic.com has more information. Prayingmedic.org is for our nonprofit ministry. And if you like the junk that we put out and you find it helpful and you'd like to support us financially, you can do that on givesendgo.com/PM. That is the only place where we're able to receive donations to support our ministry, because all of our other stuff got taken down by the censorship regime. However, we love you all. Everyone who supports us financially, we love you. We're grateful for what you do. We couldn't do this without your support.
That's
There you go.
awesome. Thank you. Can you just give our listeners like 3 simple things you can do to make it through the holidays? 3 to 5 simple things that you can do, that anybody can do, just to get through. Whether you're having company and you're overwhelmed, or you're not having company and you're feeling all the feels of the loss or the neglect or whatever it is, right? The memories. I mean, it can be a really hard time for people, for many reasons. What are some things that you would recommend, just right off the top?
All right. Number 1, take a little bit of time each day during the holidays and think about why we celebrate this time of year. It is a time when we celebrate the historical fact that God loved us so much, he decided to come down to earth and walk among us as a human being like we are. And whether or not Jesus was born at this time of year is irrelevant. The reason we celebrate this season is God became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory. And God has a redemptive plan for us, for you, for me, for her. God wants to redeem everything that has been lost, broken, stolen, taken from you. He wants to heal you physically. He wants to heal you emotionally. And if you spend some time with God, allowing him to heal those broken places of your life, you will be a different person. So number one, realize that God loves you and he wants to interact with you, talk with you, hang out with you, and help make your life better. Number two, when you're around friends and family who are getting on your nerves, you're talking to someone and they just make you angry. They just bring, when they talk to you, you feel embarrassed and you feel shame. You feel some negative emotion when you're around this friend or family member. Something you can do that's real simple. When you feel that emotion, guilt, shame, anger, frustration, just do this. Give the emotion to Jesus. Ask him to heal the wound in your soul. Tell him you receive his healing. And you're going to find that if you will do that repetitively, routinely, whenever someone triggers negative emotion in you, if you give the emotion to Jesus, ask him to heal the wound in your soul, you're going to receive healing. And you'll find that that person isn't going to annoy you or cause shame or embarrassment or whatever the issue is. That's what emotional healing is. Number two. Number three, if you have a chance to reconnect to friends or family who have been alienated from you due to COVID, due to Trump, due to whatever the issue is, if you have a chance to connect to someone that you've been alienated from, and you have a chance to just say one thing to them, tell them one thing that expresses your love for them, and don't say anything else. Just let them know you love them, regardless of what they've said, what they've done, how horribly they treated you. Just express to them that you love them no matter what. Plant a seed and see what happens. God will come along and he'll water that seed and he'll make it grow. And at some point in the future, that act of love toward them is going to bear fruit. And I think that's all I have.
Good. I like that. I like it. I wrote it all out in the chat. And I'm
Okay.
sorry, Rumble people, you can't see it, but it's on the other chat. It
Sorry,
doesn't
Rumble.
they don't connect. Restream doesn't connect. But that was good. Thank you. Thank you. That's very helpful. Especially the last one, that when you do get reconnected, or you see somebody that maybe the wheels fell off. And I think we all have people like that. I can think of a couple of people that just there was rage or resentment or uh, you know abandonment or whatever it is, because of politics, because of medical decisions, or anything like that. um what would I do if I reconnected or ran into them? And there's a lot of thoughts. There's a lot of thoughts that I have that maybe wouldn't line up with what maybe those thoughts should remain as thought bubbles and not come out as words. So so what you're saying is, take an action that Jesus would do, which is
Right.
ask God, and this is where you can ask God to help you. So maybe you can't think of that thing, but you ask God, help me to say something that is going to heal and build a bridge back, instead
Right.
of tearing further down.
Right.
That's good. I like it. Yeah. And speaking of bridges, I do want to take this time to communicate to everybody. I've talked a lot about North Carolina, about what's happening down there. And as you are praying and seeking God during the holidays and into the new year, please consider making a contribution of your not just money, but also making a plan in 2025 to go as a family, as a couple, as a group, whether it's a church group, a civic group, to go to North Carolina and to put in some time to help rebuild. It's a bad situation down there. And the volunteer forces that were there en masse in the first 2 weeks have dwindled to almost nothing. And, the adrenaline and the novelty of it has worn off. But these people are really hurting. And it's a devastation scenario down there. I can't really stress that enough. And so, you know, as you're making all of your plans for this coming year, plan, a few days, a week. I can help you connect to groups and resources that will welcome you and your group and whatever resources you can bring, especially building and rebuilding. This is a long road, and I want to remember those people. And pray for these city and county officials who are refusing to relax zoning and permitting um, rules. That they're like they it's like they've lost their minds, right? People are living in tents and they're not relaxing or putting in place emergency measures to let people move from a tent to a shed, right? I mean, it's insane. So this is really close to my heart, and I want to put that on people's minds as we go into the holidays and going into the new year. Please don't forget them. These are your brothers and sisters. Um, and regardless of how they voted, whether they're in a blue city like Asheville or they're out in the country and they've got Trump flags in their yard, doesn't matter. They're really hurting. So, and for the rescue workers, for everybody that's been part of this relief effort, the emotional trauma, when you look into their eyes, it's obvious that there's a lot of PTSD happening. And these people are exhausted. I mean, they've been carrying the weight of this and dealing with the jackassery of the public officials and the government. It's exhausting. So please pray for them. Yeah. It's very sobering, but
Yep.
it's real. It's a real thing happening with your fellow Americans. And that's another reason we need to get Trump back in. But even when the money is appropriated, they need hands on and boots on the ground. So that's it. Okay, Dave, final words. Where can people follow you? Again, you said your website, but let's throw it out there again.
Website, prayingmedic.com or prayingmedic.org. Prayingmedic.com has more resources there. And if you need to email me to send me a prayer request, just hit the contact tab on the website. It'll pull up a little email window, put in your email and your message, send me a prayer request, and I will get to your prayer request within a day or two. I am on X, Twitter, at prayingmedic.com. I only have one account on Twitter, X. I only have one Facebook page. I only have one account on Telegram.
Yeah.
If you get a private message from someone that sounds and looks like me on any social media platform, it is not me. I do not randomly message people out of the blue. Especially do not randomly message people and try to sell them some crypto scam. Neither does Mary. So Don't fall for the scammers. They're calling people, pretending to be us, sending messages. Just block them and report them.
Yes.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Good, good. And also, especially on Rumble, you're gonna see all the fake Mary Grace accounts in the comments on Rumble in the coming days. They always do it. It sounds like they're messaging you in the chat, personally, right? Hey there, Bob, they're all scams, and they'll have account names like Mary Grace Official or whatever. But just keep in mind that my account on Rumble and also Dave's they have the verified badge, and it's a green triangle. And so if you don't see that green triangle next to the name, the account, then it's fake. So you can report it, you can delete it, you can block it, whatever you need to do. Same thing on X. Like my account on X is ID verified. My account on Facebook is verified. That makes a difference. So just pay attention. We don't want you guys getting scammed. And there's all kinds of scammers out there, and they'll send you links. Please don't click on those links. Please don't. Protect yourself, protect your finances and your identity from all of that stuff. We really want to emphasize that, okay? Because they can send links that will like drain your entire bank account, unfortunately. So that's why we're so adamant about telling you this. I think that's it. So this has been great. I feel like we're going into the new year with some clarity and some understanding about what to focus on, especially when it comes to the budget, the finances, the things that we need to understand in order to contact our elected representatives. And this is like the year of power. 2025 is the year of empowerment, I think, for we the people. And it's a very different landscape that we're going into. And we're the things that Trump is doing, he's making power moves and he's inviting you into it. Because he wants to pass the torch to the next generation of leaders. And I can see him doing that. So that's the close out here. And as always, please go to marygracemedia.com and get on the mailing list, support our America First companies over there, and we will see you back here very soon. I will be on here off and on. I have a great show scheduled at the end of this month with the carnivore doctor, Dr. Sean Baker. That's going to be very interesting. We also have a film premiere coming on January 5th from North Carolina about the situation down in North Carolina. That's going to be very interesting. But if you're on my mailing list, you're going to get all of that. You'll get links for all of that, and you won't miss a show. Everybody have a wonderful day. Have a Merry Christmas. Get outside, touch some grass, look at the sky. And please take to heart the things that we've talked about, especially for protecting your heart and staying in a place of health and wholeness. Thank you again, Dave, for being here. It's been an honor, as always. And we will be back soon for another episode of Conspiracy of Truth. Take care, everybody. I'm Mary Grace, and I am one of the biggest fans of MyPillow because they have quality America First products that are just made right here in the country, and they last. We have the towels, and I have a big issue with towels that shrink up after the first washing. The MyPillow towels stay color fast, they stay in shape, and they stay that way for years after repeated washings. You can't ask for better. Plus, they actually work. When somebody buys from MyPillow using the promo code Mary Grace, that does a couple of things. It brings in a little bit of an affiliate commission to our company, and it helps us to pay the bills, keep the lights on, keep the internet going, travel to places that we do to give you remote content. And it also helps MyPillow by giving them the support of people who genuinely value quality and companies that support real people right here in the United States and employ people all over this country and give back to this country, go directly to mypillow.com, use promo code Mary Grace, and buy everything you need for the home. There's no need to spend time shopping anywhere else. Go to mypillow.com, use promo code Mary Grace, get your towels, pillows, sheets, robes, dog beds, pet beds, cat beds, whatever it is that you want for the home. Go to mypillow.com, promo code Mary Grace. It's easy. Don't waste your time anywhere else. mypillow.com, promo code Mary Grace. Thank you. Americans spend more now than ever on healthcare, and we're sicker than almost anybody in the world. We've put our trust in a system that's completely let us down. Dr. Troy Sproul and the team at Synapse Center for Health and Healing have changed all that. They are a functional medicine clinic, and they get to the root cause of what's made you sick in the first place. Once they do that, they give you solutions to help you get out of that. This is the way that medicine was meant to be practiced, and this is what they're doing. They're changing the entire system from the inside out, one person at a time, and you could be one of those people. And so when you're working with the team at Synapse, they're giving you solutions and not just prescriptions. That's a game changer for me. When you set up a free discovery call with Synapse, you're starting on a journey of healing. You're starting on a journey of getting answers. And that's why I've partnered with them, because I want you to be healthy. I want your family to be healthy. I want you to have all of the resources that you need to steward the body and the health that God's given you. Go to officialsynapse.com and tell them Mary Grace sent you. That's Official Synapse, synapse.com.
Hello, I'm Jordan, and this is my brother.
And I'm Nace, and we're the Grid Down Chowdown. And this is Larry, who is a local rancher that we've partnered with.
Now, Larry, you've been ranching for over 4 generations, is that correct?
That's correct. I'm third generation, my son's fourth generation, and I've got some grandkids that are fifth generation.
Man, that's awesome.
We've been here for quite a while, yeah.
All right, now, Larry, your cattle is grass-fed, grass-finished, and pasture-raised, just like God intended them to be.
Yes, because I want to know what's in that animal,
Right.
what it's been fed. And so the only way to do that is for us to keep it all natural, just like God has done it for years and years and years, thousands of years.
How has partnering up with us helped you and your ranch?
Well, it's allowed us to develop a market that we didn't have before, one that can get directly to the consumer, and that's great.
And just remember, more importantly, with every package that you buy, we put a salvation track in there. So from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you for allowing us to do what we believe that God has us here to do. And just remember, God loves you. He really does.
Amen.
Go to griddownchowdown.com and use promo code Mary Grace.